Welcome back to In His Mind. So, fun topic here, and short one. The Wishmaster. I want to say Andrew DeVoff, who plays as the Jinn, did an excellent job. I am at the end of the second one. Who knows how the third and the fourth movie will change. I heard there's a fifth one, but I haven't really looked into that one, so who knows. The first one is good. It ends with a bit of a twist that I kind of suspected coming, but they explain a little bit more in the second one. I left a short that kind of shows a really interesting perspective about that, how evil is actually a part of this world, so to speak. So I recommend checking that out. It's not bad. The whole movie, the whole series so far is something that I actually like, so I would recommend it to everyone, Christians and non-Christians alike. But there's an exception there. There's definitely some gore, and it's for a mature audience only. This is not something that you should take if you are faint of heart. Not saying it's like overwhelmingly a whole bunch of blood and guts, but like there's definitely scenes that are appropriate with how people die, because they portray in the first video like this guy's very tricky, and that you have to word your wishes precisely, or else, you know, like the one part in the second movie, I wish to never see you again. Cool. All right, you're blind for the rest of your life. Yeah, like instead of wishing that he would simply go out of sight or something, basically he worded so that yeah, I'll just make you blind, and you know, whatever. He causes a lot of chaos and a lot of pain and suffering, and definitely ends people's lives in interesting ways too. Like, I wish I had never been born. Can't collect a soul then now, so not sure why you went that route, but okay. This guy's portrayed as more of like a cross between a demon and something else, where he collects souls. But it's interesting how they tie spirituality into this, but not what is biblical. So the basis part is like there's humans, there's jinns, and then there's angels not in the picture. They're just there somewhere. I read into the plot and the summary for like the third and the fourth videos, and I just kind of like scratched my head. I'll be like, all right, let's see how that plays out. Because I wanted to know what I was walking into when I watched this. My initial thoughts, like over a decade ago when I first heard about it, was, yeah, let's stay away from that, because, you know, evil stuff is something that you want to be very careful of. Anything like possessions, I'm generally like, I'm good, don't need to watch it. I've already seen 2 demon possessions in real life, I don't need to see any more. Like, 2 is fine, okay? Not exactly something you need to be scared of, because this is not exactly Hollywood where like what they show is reality. No, they're just simply trying to sell and make a profit, and it's all about money. It's not about like accuracy. However, that being said, some of these stories are actually based, you know, some of these movies are based on real stories. So the Wishmaster here, it's not based on anything real in it. Like, there's entertainment there, but the concept of like being able to get whatever you wish for, they actually kind of went back to like the roots of, almost it seems like they went to the roots of like what was Disney's version of Aladdin was based on, except it's not going to be fun and family friendly, that type of thing. I don't know if there's any history or anything behind it that actually shows like this ever existed, so whatever. If there is, I'll be surprised. That being said, there was definitely opportunity for more to be there with archaeology and history and gems and jewels, especially for the first one, but they didn't really go that route, so slightly disappointed there. Now, as far as the other parts about like the wishes and how evil is tied to it, it seems like the Jinn just didn't care about anyone or anything except for the souls that he wanted, so that he could rule over and summon his brethren, or whatever, something along the lines of that. I don't think he personally wanted every human to die. I think he just wanted the souls and to collect what was owed to him. I think the whole pain and suffering and the torture are just like parts of his personality that he enjoys. or he enjoys stupid people getting what they deserve. Because let's be real, in the movie you see a lot of people like not being careful, and he's just like, he's smiling, he's chuckling, he's just like probably thinking you're just dumb. However, he doesn't act like that because he's making a business of sorts of collecting souls, and you see it in the finale and how things are wrapped up, and how it's just like, it's basically just business to him. Business with the end goal of getting the earth back to him and any of his other brothers, sisters, whatever. I don't know. They don't explain much as far as like if he's the only Jinn left or if there's more or whatever. In the first movie they make it seem like there's more where he comes from, so to speak, but I haven't seen that yet. As far as it, this is an interesting note, but as far as it's shown, he has a restriction placed upon him as far as him having unlimited power, but it can only be accessed through wishes. And there's a stipulation there, like if you ask 3 wishes, the end will come, so to speak. So who knows? They had some opportunity to hit upon some very good points in the movie, but were just completely bypassed. I think they just went to leave religion, faith, and all of this moral stuff, the right and wrong, and God and Jesus, all of this out. But they wanted to tie some parts of it to it, and not just simply leave it be 100% magic. Now, it's described as in some parts where there's magic here. The lawyer part in the second scene was like, how would that even physically be possible? You know, where the lawyer was told to go screw himself. and the Jinn just smiled and he said, done. How in the world? No, he used magic products to make the guy's dick grow 3 feet long. That's a hilarious scene. And there was other parts where he just said magic. The Jinn said magic, and it was very well done. Like, mad respect for the actor here, who just performed this character flawlessly in human and non-human form. They make it very clear. They had fun with it all, and it's just a blast. As far as the deeper points, though, you look any further below, look any deeper below the surface, and you'll start asking questions like, what would I do if I had the opportunity to ask for whatever I wanted? It kind of shows how low you would go, how far you would want to go, because people who would want to remove evil, people who would want stuff for themselves, power, whatever, riches, even just to get out of jail, as that one guy wished for. It kind of shows where you stand as far as that goes. I mean, there are ways to manipulate it, for sure, and that if someone like that were to exist, and I don't think that would happen. I'm not going to spoil the end of the first movie, but it was definitely a twist that I kind of saw coming. But there's ways to take advantage of that and not end up costing your soul. I'm pretty sure stuff like that would never be allowed in real life, with the exception of demons, where they have made deals with other people. Ex-warlocks and ex-witches do confirm this. And it's interesting to note how some of the singers became popular because there was someone, I can't remember who, talked about how all she was told was simply to worship this guy, and she would get whatever she wanted. And that's how she became popular. She worshipped this individual, got fame, got rich, and became a celebrity. In all honesty, I would have to say, if you get what you want because you worship a specific individual, a really good question to ask is, why not? Not just because, oh, the Bible says so and God doesn't say so. If you want to have a discussion and dialogue about this, you break it down, you go after the different points. In all honesty, if it's not good for you, they're not going to leave out the details of where you get hurt, where you suffer, like where your soul is on the line at, so to speak. And as it is, the charisma of the Jinn was on par, perfect, very well done, just executed flawlessly. And he definitely sells you the deal of like, you could potentially get whatever you wanted if you were to ask, your wish and state and say, this is what I want. And he's very imaginative, and it's just done very well. You can kind of equate that to like demons in real life and all of that. But of course, some don't want to make barters and some don't want to make deals. They just want to make your life a living hell. There are some haunting stories that I listened to recently that really come to mind about this. They're not there to make bargains. They're not there to make deals. They're there to torment, to mess with you, because that's what they enjoy doing. So I find that to be interesting as well. You want to bring Marvel and DC and all that into this mix with Johnny Blaze, the Ghost Rider, and some of the other demons and the rulers of hell, because apparently they change and they take turns. Lucifer's in the picture too, but he's not the biblical Lucifer, and he's not portrayed very differently. Anyway, those characters can give you a look into who he is, but when it comes down to it, he's just basically there. He wants to get souls, and he wants to achieve the over end of either world domination or summoning other jinn to occupy Earth or whatever. Knowing who you are and what you are, when you start asking these questions of like what you'd wish for, is definitely an eye-opener. I wonder about that. I am under the impression that if I knew the end game, I would probably fall victim to a lot. Unless I knew the end game, I would probably fall victim to like everyone else there. Because you know what? We all have wants, we all have desires. They need to be managed appropriately so they don't get out of control. But you also got to have an end game of sorts of like, you're going to stand for this, and this is what matters to you. If you're a Christian, you want to be pleasing in God's sight. You want to be the best that you can be as far as following Christ, living, having purity in your life, and whatever else is laid upon your heart. Like if you're a parent, you want to be the best parent you can be. Like there's going to be different stuff in everyone's life, but what I'm trying to say is you want at the end of it to be to hear the whole, well done, my good and faithful servant, as according to scriptures. So the end goal for Christians is kind of simple there. It's to do the best that you can, go to heaven, be pleasing in God's sight. Not simply want stuff for yourself here and now. Yeah, there's just some good stuff, good stories, good viewpoints, a lot of good thoughts in that whole entire movie. You kind of have to pick through it because, again, there's a lot of stuff that's not scripture, and it's just for entertainment purposes. But overall, it's a different perspective that I can appreciate, that I really I do like for the most part. Since I've already watched the entire Saw series back during my deployment years, give or take. I think Spiral is indirectly related. I didn't see that, and I don't even know if I saw one of the other ones. I can't remember which, but most of them had come out by 2010 anyway. I've already seen a lot of stuff that I'm not really fazed by what was in the movie, but as far as the gore and all that, I still have to say, if you're sensitive, just be careful of that. I made some bad choices and mistakes with picking movies when I was younger. They definitely influenced me, and I regret it. Now, to be honest, God didn't just simply sit on that and let that just go to waste. Confronting evil face to face is quite the experience, but it's always done differently than how Hollywood and other people portray it. Because in the end, as some of these ex-warlocks and other people, ex-witches, they would confirm, you're better off being used than dead. So when it comes down to Satan and demonic forces, if they can use you to hurt God or to hurt others, they will. They don't want to see you die, maybe suffer, but they don't want to simply lose a tool that they can use over and over and over again. Hence why purity is another important thing to aim for. going back to the video on what I did, talked about with like the one problem with purity, it may not actually be a problem, but being able to relate and talk to others and hold conversations and dialogues is something that's important to me personally. I value that. I know other people do to a point as well. However, if they're trying to get you off to follow them, to join their church, join their cult or whatever, you still need to take that into consideration. In regards to that other update that I did yesterday with the conversation on tattoos, I wonder why they kept steering the conversation over to like personal studies and stuff like that, until I realized, oh, they don't get it. I was actually trying to record this for my YouTube channel, not simply to, have this be personal or whatever. Which explains why Laura showed up with someone else instead of just showing up with her and trying to, get this thing all looking official or whatever. Setting up a time, setting up a day, setting up a place, etc., etc. She'll never watch this, so I don't really care. It just took me a long time to process and to just stop being so upset and aggravated. Because it was a perfect opportunity that went to waste, in my opinion. She doesn't want her voice on recorded at all. That's fine, whatever. I think North Carolina is a one-party. It's a one-party. Only one party needs to consent to recordings, if I'm not mistaken. But I don't care, and I'm only looking for good conversation dialogue. So when they were trying to get all personal with me, I was already not happy with that. Because it's not about me, it's about the topic. And they kept going from tattoos to something else. So anyway, I got off on the side trail. I'm trying to say how conversation dialogue is important to me, and it messes with the whole, well, purity can mess with being able to relate to others and talk to others and all that. It can, but if your heart's in the right place and you're following God, God will still present opportunities. He will still present a lot to you. There's more advantage to you to be pure than to not be pure. There's also more protection too. And as this one ex-warlock talked about, ex-witch talked about, open communications and praying to God is basically, there's protection there that she saw. And as according to others, you're accessing the throne of God where demons want no part of that. Now, as the ex-warlock did say, and I'm bouncing around between the two because their stories are incredible, amazing, and definitely an eye-opener for sure. But you need to make sure that you are standing right in God's sight for your prayers to be heard in the first place. And it's important, not because you want to get your wish answered, but because you want to be found without fault, without blame, and to basically, when God looks at you, he sees Jesus, and he does not see the sinner that you are standing before him. Because here's the thing, if you're coming to him with prayer, supplication, you want to be heard, not ignored. I'm trying to be careful with how I'm saying this. But yeah, this is definitely a series that is worth watching. It's an eye-opener, just a lot done right, but it's not biblical. There's just, so take it, take this with a grain of salt, or whatever the phrase is. I think that's about it. Everything else will probably fall into more specific categories and topics. And yeah, I'm specifically avoiding talking about what I would wish for personally. Not necessarily because I'm scared of it, but because I don't know how to explain it. I think. And it's private. I would like to think about it before ever talking about it. I can see it in my mind, but describing in real life would be hard. I don't really care much for riches. I don't really care much for fame and publicity, because the wrong people who know you, who find out you have certain things or you know certain things, it just wouldn't go easy for you. And that would include like the IRS, because let's be honest, you don't want anyone coming after you for your money. Doesn't matter if you're a spam caller or the IRS or whatever. Your ex, having your ex come after you for child support does not apply to me. But I'm using it as an example here. Like, publicity is not always a good thing. I guess to that extent, that's why I talk about my channel, why it's important, why a different perspective matters, the being that was in my life, the entity for over 13 years, how he plays an impact on all this. Because let's be honest, you have something life-changing like that happen, you're going to think about it for years of your life. You're going to wonder about certain things, certain scenarios, these what-ifs. And asking a lot of questions over and over again does get tiring, and you can only make so much headway into them without like delving into other stuff that helps explain certain characteristics, certain actions, certain events, the way things happen and how they happen, all that. All right, I think that's about it. I don't think there's anything left to cover as far as the character and the first and second movie that's relevant and important. That has deeper quality, so to speak. But if you notice something, please put it down below and let me know, because there's a lot there to unpack, and I think I've covered most everything that is worth covering, in my opinion. All right, until next time, thank you for listening, and I hope this has been very helpful to you and very thought-provoking.